Okay, so in this video I want to take a little closer look at this draw polygon method that we extracted. I think the first thing I want to do is just put a quick comment on here saying, let's see, draw a polygon with tiny rectangle at first vertex, and parameter G is graphics context for drawing, and parameter N is size of vertex list. Okay. So we see a comment. That's a good indicator that you should probably have a named method instead. So I'm going to just, even though this is just a little one-liner, I'm going to pull this out. Let's see, method, and just call this draw tiny rectangle. Okay, because now it's clear. We don't need a comment, right? It tells us what we can do, and we can just actually stick this in as our comment right here, right? Show tiny rectangle around first vertex, and param G is our graphics context again. So I'll copy that. And now let's take a look at this actually. So we have this A.X and A.Y. If you look at, where's our init graphics? Okay, so you see how this, a similar thing is you know, with the dimension object, our dimension class. You have this, we have a dimension D, and we can say D.width and D.height. Notice these are not method calls, because they don't have, see, D.width, there's no parentheses after it, and same with DH. So basically these are fields that are declared that are not private. Okay, so these float fields are not private, so they can actually be accessed directly with the dot notation. So that's what's going on with this A.X, A.Y stuff. Now, so A is actually the 0.2D 0.2D point, and look at what's happening here. So this is a, remember this, when we pass it a float, so A.X is a float, right? That is the logical x coordinate of the tiny, for the tiny rectangle, right? Where we're going to draw the tiny rectangle. IX converts it into device coordinates, and then we're going to subtract 2. So we're moving it, basically moving to the left 2 pixels here, because this is our x coordinate, right? So along the x-axis we're moving to the left 2 pixels, and we convert A.Y into device coordinates, and we move, remember when we're using device coordinates, the y, when we subtract 2 pixels along the y coordinate, we're going up 2. So here we're going left, did I say right? We're going left 2 and up 2, right? And then we're and then we're drawing a rectangle, a 4x4, which is actually a square, right? So we're drawing a 4x4. So this point right here is actually the center point of the. I'm sorry. So that makes A dot X, A dot Y actually the center point of the tiny rectangle, right? Because we're going, we're shifting 2 to the left and up, and then we're drawing a 4x4. So centered at, point, oh wait, how about this? Point 2D, center point for tiny rectangle. Okay, does that make sense? Actually, I think I might even have a picture of this someplace. Let's see here. There it is. Okay. So here's our center point, and then we go left 2 pixels and up 2 pixels, and we draw this rectangle here, this 4x4 rectangle. Oh yeah, and I did make a note. Remember our x sub 0, y sub 0? Those are getting drawn. Those are actually set the first time through, because ready is instantiated to true, right? And then our first time we click, we clear the vertices list. At this point there's nothing in it, but then we set x sub 0 to x sub xa and y sub 0 to ya. Those are the coordinates that we collected from the mouse click, right? So these are our initial coordinates, and then we set ready to false. So subsequent vertices don't get set to, x0, y0 doesn't get set to the subsequent vertices, right? There's no place else where we're setting actually x sub 0, y sub 0 in here. Okay, so it only gets set once, and that's at the first mouse click. And then, well, there is a point where ready gets set to true, okay? But that's, and that turns out to be, spoiler alert, that turns out to be when we've completed the polygon, when we've clicked inside the little rectangle, but we'll talk about that later. So, yeah, so at this point, actually, we could have just said x sub 0, y sub 0 in here also. Let's see, what else do I want to do about this? And it's really not a good idea to leave like numbers like this, like magic numbers like this, like what does the 2 mean and what does the 4 mean. What we really want to do is more something like this. So set up some private static ints to stand for these values, and then we can be a little bit smarter, especially when we start looking at the code for finding, when we're inside the rectangle. We want to be a little bit smarter about, a little bit clearer about these values that we're using. So let's do that. Let's do a tiny side and a half tiny side. So up here we'll make our final static private int tiny side equals 4 and final static private int half tiny side equals tiny side over 2. Okay. And let's call this side length of tiny rectangle and half side length of tiny rectangle. Alright. This might be a problem later if we decide we need tiny rectangles that are actual rectangles instead of squares, but for now let's just do this. And we only say tiny side. Let me copy that down. So I just did a copy so I can paste it here into our thing here. So let's do tiny side, and this is going to be half tiny side, oops, and half tiny side. There. Okay, so yeah, that's a little clearer what's going on, that we're actually drawing a rectangle there. Do we need anything else? Yep. Actually, you know what we could do? We don't need this point A. We could just make this x sub 0, y sub 0. X sub 0. Because at this point, because of the testing, the earlier testing that we've done, why is not one type in here? X sub 0 and y sub 0. Oh, because that's why. Okay. So, yeah, at this point we can just use x sub 0, y sub 0 because of the testing that we've done earlier on. We made sure that before we even called draw polygon, we made sure that we had vertices. So that means if there are vertices in our list, that means we've already set x0 and y0. So this should be cool. And then that way we can get rid of one of our parameters. Getting rid of parameters is a good thing if you can do it, because it just simplifies your code. Yeah. Alright, so let's make sure we didn't break anything. This looks okay. That one works. A single line works, and a single point. Yeah. Okay. So we got the draw tiny rectangle bit working, and then we'll look at some more draw polygon detail in the next video.